Welcome back to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really pleased to have with me Chuck Butler. He is the president of EverBank World Markets, and he's the author of a popular daily missive that we get here in the Taylor household. It's called the Daily Pfennig. The Daily Pfennig newsletter, which you can actually get free of charge from Daily Pfennig. That's Daily, P-F-E-N-N-I-G, if you don't know how to spell Pfennig, dailypfennig.com. You can also go to everbank.com to avail yourself to that excellent daily missive on the markets. And as I was just telling Chuck before we come on the air here, that I really enjoy them because they're fun reading. There's just a sort of a folksy, fun thing to read in addition to covering some very serious and very, very important topics, which we hope to talk to Chuck about today. Chuck Butler has had a career in investment services and currencies extending over 35 years. He oversees all aspects of customer service and the trading desk at EverBank World Markets. That's located in St. Louis. He's a respected analyst of currency markets, and he's frequently made appearances on many of the major media places like the Wall Street Journal. He's been in U.S. News and World Report, Market Watch, USA Today. He's been on CNN, FN, Bloomberg Television, CNBC, and the Chicago Tribune. So he has really been around a lot. He previously was a bond trader and director of risk management at Mark Twain Bank, and has been and has held significant positions in the investment industry all the way back to 1973. So Chuck, as a person who's been around the sun about as often as I have, and as I like to say to you young folks out there listening, you might pay some attention to your elders, especially really smart ones like Chuck Butler. Welcome, Chuck. I'm really glad to have you with me today.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Jay. That was quite an intro, and I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate your missives. As I was telling you, years ago I used to read your missives, and I always found them very interesting. As a matter of fact, I think I was reading them in the days that I was still a banker myself at ING Barings, and then more recently I've gotten away from it. But my wife has been a steady reader, and she's a very good critic, and she has really loved your stuff, and she suggested that I should have you on the show. And I said, yeah, why haven't I done this before now? And as I look at the things that this show covers, it makes perfect sense to have you with us. So I'd like you to open up, just tell our listeners a little bit about EverBank. It is a most unusual bank in many ways, and I think in most ways. Tell our listeners a little bit about EverBank and its uniqueness in the banking industry.
Well, actually, EverBank was first started as an online-only bank in the year 2000. It was called EverBank.com, and we took off in January. In January of 2000, and by sometime around June of 2003, a bank in Florida, First Alliance Bank, bought us. And they loved our name so much that they changed the whole bank's name to EverBank. So that's the beginnings, the origins of EverBank. What we've been to people since we started is what we like to call a value proposition to people, or an investment toolkit. When you come to EverBank, you can get a mortgage, you can get a checking account, all those things that you get at a regular bank. But you can also use our investment toolkit, which is a fully owned discount brokerage that we have that does not only U.S. stocks and bonds and mutual funds and everything else, but it does foreign stocks and foreign bonds. And they do the foreign stocks in the local markets of 50 different countries. So when you buy something, on the Hong Kong exchange, you actually are buying it with Hong Kong dollars. So we understand the value of diversification so much that we brought to EverBank in 2000 the deposit book that was held at Mark Twain Bank, which is called the World Currency Deposit Book. And in that deposit book is the opportunity for what we do is we we give investors the opportunity to invest in foreign currencies using bank deposit products. So therefore, it's something that they understand. It's a CD that's denominated in 20 different, or, you can use 20 different currencies. And it's also a savings account that gives you the ability to have smaller amounts in the account, but have liquidity because you could buy or sell that currency at any time. And you're not locked into a time deposit like a CD.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in addition to those two things, we also have a wealth management area where they can manage your money, and in that managed money division, they also have a managed currency product. So we like to think that we can cover any type of investment around the world, and although we're not in some of the exotic currencies like the Somali currency or anything like that, we choose the major currencies and the upcoming emerging market currencies to offer. And as long as they have good liquidity, we will offer them.
Okay, well, go ahead.
That's basically the story. That's basically our story.
So it's for individuals. I know you have business clients as well. You have corporate clients, but so these different currency products are available for individuals, Chuck?
Yes, it basically was devised in the beginning for businesses only, and what we found is that, I don't know if you remember the great writer that used to write for a major publication in New York, Brian Quinn.
Yes.
Back in 1985, she wrote an article and said, the dollar's getting weak, and wouldn't it be nice if people had some place to go with their dollars, individual investors. And so my partner and colleague and the big boss at EverBank, his name is Frank Trotter, he's the person who devised these currency products. He wrote Brian Quinn a letter and said, hey, we have the products here at EverBank, or at Mark Twain Bank. And soon she was writing about them. So it is an investment a vehicle that can be used by corporations or individuals. And for a CD, the minimum is $10,000, and for a savings account, it's $2,500. So these are sizes that people are used to doing when they're doing investments or opening accounts in a bank.
Sure. Well, Chuck, you say you don't have exotic currencies, and I can understand some of the, like Somalia or some of those places are truly exotic. But as I look at the list of currencies that your bank offers, some of them I would say are as exotic as I would want to be. I mean, I'm looking at some things like the Russian ruble, for example. You can invest in the renminbi, the Chinese renminbi, of course, Czech koruna. Koruna, I guess you say. Of course, Japanese yen but Hong Kong dollars, of course, Brazilian real, Singapore dollars, so South African rands, Swedish krona, Indian rupee, Mexican peso. I mean, New Zealand dollars. It's Czech. Yeah, it's a lot of choices there.
Yeah, like I said, it's a list of over 20, I believe. And we've tried to make sure that we always, whenever we add a new currency to our list, it's always something that individual investors have requested on a multiple basis. So if we get a lot of people asking for the Russian ruble, well then we look into the ability to offer it. And that's exactly what happened with the ruble. We just added that in the last year.
Well, it's obviously not a good currency to have been long in the last few months, but who knows which way it will go. Any thoughts on that? I mean, what's happening? I don't know if we want to get into that now. There's some other questions I want to ask you first, but just while we're on the topic, Russian ruble, Chinese renminbi. I mean, some of these things, it seems the BRIC countries, actually, you have most of them here. Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa, the BRICS. You've got them all here, I believe.
Right. Yes, and we strongly believe in the power of the emerging markets in the world, And we think that people should look to them instead of just the normal, for years when people thought of a foreign currency, all they thought about was, Swiss francs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only thing people ever talked about, and maybe
right.
Deutschmark,
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, the emerging markets have generated a large portion of the global growth in the last decade, and we think that they'll continue to be that growth generator as the years go by. But as far as Russia is concerned, the country was doing fine and the currency was doing well, and then they decided to get into a conflict with Ukraine, and then the sanctions came, and then the drop in the price of oil has really hurt them, and so the currency has lost quite a bit of ground. But that's the thing with currencies, is that they're not always one-way streets. They don't just go up all the time, and they don't always just go down all the time. I mean, the ruble was a lot weaker just a couple weeks ago, and it has regained some of its balance of its value in the last couple of weeks. So, it's just one of those things that you look for value, in currency in countries. I always tell people that if you view the currency of a country as the stock of that country, then you'll find, you use the same type of criteria that you use to value a stock. You'll find a handful of currencies in the world that make abundant sense for you to look into buying.
Well, certainly if you're a contrarian investor, you might keep your eye on a place like Russia and see maybe sooner or later things bottom out. It might be a great place to go. I'm just offering that as a general comment. But certainly you have the BRICS there, and the BRICS, to me, they're countries that seem to be more cognizant in many ways of value than the Western countries. I say that because they are, especially China, but Russia too, to a great extent, from all I read, accumulating a huge amount of gold. And in my way of thinking, that's probably a good thing longer term. But while we're on the topic of gold, I'd like to ask you just to talk a little bit about the services that EverBank provides in that area, because you do provide. I think people can buy and store gold with EverBank.
Sure, we do all four of the precious metals: gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. And you can buy them and use two different types of offerings that we make to buy. So, first of all, what we do is we offer people the ability to buy the metal in a pooled account. And in a pooled account, basically, what you have is liquidity. You can buy and sell it very easily. You don't have to make delivery of it. We keep it for you, and there's no safekeeping charge. Then the other type is called allocated. That's where someone says to you, or says to us, I would like, actual Krugerrand coins or Maple Leaf coins or platinum bars. Okay. So then what you have then is you have someone who actually wants the metal in physical form that they want either sent to them or safe kept. So it will either cost them to have them mailed to them, or for us to safe keep them, which is about 2.5% for silver and 1.5% for gold on the nominal value of the metal per year.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you: do you audit the gold that you hold in for your clients? Is that audited on a regular basis, and are the clients privy to that audit?
Well, clients are not privy to that audit, but it is audited, and we are. We have a contract with any place that we hold that they would never ever be short the metal to us.
Okay.
And therefore, we actually have a contract with our customer in the terms and conditions that say we will never be short to them. So it's one of these things that, and then the regulators here make sure that we adhere to that. I can guarantee you that. And the places that we do hold are also, they're audited by their governments and so on and so forth. So we feel very strongly about the holdings that we have elsewhere.
Well, that's very good. I mean, I know there are plenty of people around that aren't so sure that the U.S. government's gold is necessarily, certainly haven't had an audit since the Eisenhower administration, and there are people, including Congressman Ron Paul, who's been on this show a number of times, has called for an audit. So it just seems to me like that's what ought to happen. While we're jumping around here a little bit, I'm sorry for that, but I want to ask you, getting back to these foreign currency CDs and the products that you have, they are, it's my understanding, they are FDIC insured. Is that correct?
That is correct. The FDIC, they are products of an FDIC insured bank. So the currency products are FDIC insured against the failure of EverBank. Now, FDIC does not insure the currency fluctuations. So, you can experience principal loss.
Sure, of course.
With the currency. But if EverBank were to go out of business, the FDIC would give you the value of your foreign currency in dollars at that time.
Right. Can you, with the 2008, 2009, the Lehman Brothers, the financial crisis that followed, people, I think, need to be very cognizant of their banks and where they're leaving their money. What can you tell our listeners about your balance sheet? First of all, I'm wondering, do you have any gold on your balance sheet? It would be highly unusual if you did.
Oh, no.
Okay. I just wondered. It was a question I hadn't looked at your balance sheet, or I wouldn't have had to ask you. But I was just wondering. It seems to me maybe the government wouldn't allow it. I don't know, but.
Well, I mean, they do, but the thing with banks is that they need to make sure that they are always earning money on the money that they hold for customers, because
sure,
they're going to pay them an interest rate and they need to have a spread.
Right.
So, a non-interest-bearing thing like gold would be difficult for them to have on their books.
Sure, sure.
EverBank is a public company on the New York Stock Exchange. The symbol is EVER. And with that, you can find out just about everything, including the color of the chairman's hair, I think. From the public records of EverBank. And so, to me, our fourth quarter earnings are going to be released in about a week. And I'm sure that, I have a very strong feeling that they'll be good as usual. And but that's it's just my opinion. I don't know anything more than anybody else. Sure.
Well, we'll find out in a few. When did you say? Just a few days.
Yes, it'll just be a few days before those come out. So
EverBank pay a dividend?
It does pay a dividend, and I'm not sure what the amount is these days. It was 2 cents before. It may have been raised.
So what kind of loans do you have on your balance sheet? Are you lending or making mortgages, consumer loans, or what?
Yes, the bank in Florida that bought us was at the time the largest privately owned mortgage company in the country. And through the years, they've gone through a lot of changes, but they're still one of the largest mortgage companies in the country. And so what we do is we do keep some of the loans that we make, but for the most part, what we do is we package them up and sell them within 30 days, and don't really keep the majority of the loans on our books.
Okay, so you sell them off, you capture the front end fees, and that way you can enhance the return on your balance sheet, I suppose, by doing that on a regular basis. What, with just a couple of minutes left here, Chuck, I know that in your daily missives, the Daily Pfennig, you do provide a lot of commentary on the markets, on the equity markets, some, but certainly on the currency markets, which is an area of your expertise. The dollar has been extremely strong. Is this going to last a lot longer in your view? I know nobody knows for sure, but what's your hunch?
Well, my feeling is that it's going to be very much like the year 2005 and 2008, when we saw the same type of dollar strength throughout the year, those years. But in the end, the dollar just returning to its underlying weak trend, which is there because of the large debt that the U.S. has.
Yeah.
And will remain there until something is done about it. And the only thing being done about it is increasing it. So that's a very unstable situation for the U.S. as far as I'm concerned.
Oh.
And so the dollar strength could last for anywhere from 3 to 6 more months. But in the end, it'll just come right back to the underlying weak trend. And I think we're already starting to see signs that the economy is losing its steam. We've seen durable goods.
All right, Chuck. Unfortunately, Chuck, we're out of time. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I want to get you back, though, so we can talk more about economics and get your views on these things. But it's the Daily Pfennig, folks, and go check it out. Sign up for it, get it, and Chuck Butler will have a lot of good things to tell you, very important things to tell you, and you'll be entertained along the way.